Now we're joined by Senior Fellow at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Aaron David Miller. He is a former Arab-Israeli negotiator for the State Department, served under multiple administrations. Also with us, former U.S. Ambassador to Morocco and former Clinton Middle East advisor, Mark Ginsburg. It's great to have you both here. Ambassador, your nephew, an Israeli soldier, was killed responding to the October 7th attack. What's going through your mind this morning on the cusp of all the hostages finally being released and talk of peace in reach?
He was killed thank you for having me, and hello, Aaron. He was killed trying to rescue hostages on that very October 7th morning. And so for my family and for us, the release of the hostages, this negotiation of what essentially has been a total buy-in plan, the bear hug that Donald Trump put around Benjamin Netanyahu, Hamas's willingness to essentially say the hostages at this point in time are not an essential component of our negotiation strategy, given the phases that are going to have to be negotiated. This means a great deal not only for Israel, for Israel's future, for the future of the Palestinian people who've suffered from the terrorist attacks and the consequences. I'm optimistic, and I'm particularly glad that Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner and Tony Blair and the president were able to gather the Arab leaders together and to get the buy-in, and then ultimately it compelled Benjamin Netanyahu to stop his offensive, believing that in the end he could defeat Hamas militarily.
Aaron, there's a lot of cautious celebration around the world this morning. How are you looking at this?
Thanks for having me on. It's great to be here with Mark. Look, it's an extraordinary moment. There's no doubt about it. Extraordinary moment for the hostages, their families who have suffered, and clearly for the long-suffering Palestinian civilian population of Gaza. We need to be realistic, though, about what this is and what it isn't. This is not a peace agreement. Too much blood, too much trauma, too much death and destruction for that. It's not even a plan that can be implemented quickly to end the war in Gaza on terms that you and I would consider to be truly an end to the war. It's an opportunity. It's a chance to break 2 years of unending trauma, confrontation, and violence, 2 years of the horrors that Israelis and Palestinians have visited on one another. It's going to require enormous leadership. Phase 2 of this plan, frankly, exists on paper. There are no operational details how to get from phase 1 to phase 2, no plan for decommissioning Hamas's weapons,
right.
No detailed discussions on how to bring in an international security force. It's an opportunity. I'm not a religious man, but I offer a prayer today for Israelis, the hostages, their families, and the Palestinian civilian population in Gaza.
Ambassador, as we've mentioned a couple times now, this is just phase 1, and there are really important questions about Hamas disarming, giving up governance. The hostages were Hamas's key leverage, as you pointed out. Are you surprised they gave in, and why now?
It was a perfect storm of good deeds and bad deeds coming together. The clear pressure that Arabs were exerting on Hamas, number one. Number two, the value of the hostages to Hamas was being outweighed by the willingness of the Israeli forces to continue bombarding Gaza and the anger and resentment that was growing within the Palestinian population in Gaza, who were being forced once again to relocate from more humanitarian disaster as a result of this offensive. And I think calculations, but I'm not sure Aaron or I or anyone could put ourselves in the heads of the Hamas military terrorist leadership in Gaza, but the decimation that is now overriding Hamas's calculations means that Hamas has said, look, we need to get the hostages out because we can then negotiate and draw this negotiation out without the world continuing to pressure us as if we are responsible for the hostages.
Aaron, we have seen now pretty much all the parties involved, Netanyahu, Hamas, families, all thank President Trump for this moment. What kind of impact did President Trump have on this process?
Let me be clear. And I've said this repeatedly, and for me, it's one of the extraordinary takeaways. No American president that I ever worked for, Republican or Democrat, has ever brought the kind of pressure on an Israeli prime minister on an issue that prime minister considered vital to his own politics and to his conception of the security needs and requirements of his country. It's unprecedented. And what it suggests to me is that Donald Trump has freed himself to a large degree from the emotional entanglements. Joe Biden's, Bill Clinton's, their love of Israel on one hand, and he's freed himself from the politics, which has constrained American presidents from being very tough on Israel. Donald Trump owns the Republican Party. There may be a few outliers in MAGA that are highly critical of Israel. And you hear Democrats these days talking about conditioning or restricting U.S. military assistance to Israel. So I think Donald Trump had a runway here. I think he's a transactional president. Maybe he wants the Nobel. I think he does. Whether that can be had for anything less than a regional peace is unclear. But it's really a remarkable demonstration, frankly, of presidential will.
Well, you both have so much experience dealing with negotiations in this region, and I am so grateful to have this morning. Thank you, Aaron David Miller and Ambassador Mark Ginsburg.